All right, all right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book of the Bible. All right, so I got this article here, all right, as you see on screen from Natural News. All right, and the title of this article reads, Final Warning. All right, this reckless war is the trigger for the dollar's final collapse. That's right, man. All right, you see this war with, this U.S. and Israel war, all right, against Iran, all right, is to trigger many things, all right. It's to trigger a famine, all right, the collapse of the dollar bill, all right, to usher in the RFID microchip, which is known as the mark of the beast in the Bible, all right, and to bring this third world war, all right, into reality, man. All right, this is why this war was created, all right, and engineered and manufactured, all right. It's part of the Albert Pike and Mazzini blueprint, the Albert Pike and Mazzini plan, all right. That's information I mention and bring out all the time, all right. The Albert Pike and Mazzini blueprint, or the Albert Pike and Mazzini plan, all right, is a plan or a blueprint, all right, to bring 3 world wars, all right. And the third world war, all right, is to be created by bringing controversy or conflict between the Muslim world and the Judaism world, all right. And that's exactly what you see happening right now, all right. And bringing conflict between the Muslim world and the Judaism world is going to bring the rest of this world, all right, into this third world war, into a final conflict known as this third world war that's mentioned all throughout the Bible. And this is what the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord have been prophesying for decades and decades and decades, man. All right, so let's get into this article, man, all right, and bring some information out. All right, final warning. This reckless war is the trigger for the dollar's final collapse. This is why this war was created. All right, to bring the collapse of the dollar bill. All right, to usher in the mark of the beast. All right, which is the RFID microchip. All right, the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. All right, we tell you this with great certainty and with great surety. All right, the Israelites of Great Millstone, and the ones that teach in like manner, that like doctrine. All right? That is what the mark of the beast is, the RFID microchip. All right? So let's get into this article. All right? It says, war as economic arson. All right? I've spent years analyzing the fragile web of global finance, watching as the pillars of the dollar's dominance were quietly dismantled. All right, the dollar is slowly collapsing. All right, that's why you have inflation. All right, because the dollar is depreciating. All right, now in 2026 we stand at the precipice. All right, the precipice. All right, the reckless escalation of war. The imminent ground invasion of Iran under Operation Epic Fury is not merely a geopolitical catastrophe. In my view, it is the calculated detonation device for the final collapse of the U.S. dollar. Yeah, that's why this war was created, to collapse the dollar. All right, this war was engineered to collapse the dollar. All right, the global economy. All right. Because the elites have an agenda to bring forth a new world order. And part of that new world order is to collapse the dollar bill to usher in the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip. That's part of the new world order agenda, to usher in, all right, the RFID microchip, to make it mandatory under the punishment of death. All right. because they want complete control. That's part of their New World Order, their New World Order agenda. They have the entire earth, everyone on this earth, under their complete control, their total control through their technology, which is the RFID microchip. All right? It says this action will sever the Strait of Hormuz, cutting off the West's energy lifeline and exposing the global monetary system, all right, as the fragile Ponzi scheme it truly is. Yeah. All right, let's read that again. It says, the imminent ground invasion of Iran under Operation Epic Fury is not merely a geopolitical catastrophe. In my view, it is the calculated detonation device for the final collapse of the US dollar. Yep. This action will sever the Strait of Hormuz, cutting off the West's energy lifeline and exposing the global monetary system as the fragile Ponzi scheme it truly is. All right. The Rubicon has been crossed. All right. This is dollar suicide. All right. This is why this war was created. You know, the elites, they created this war to hit multiple birds with one stone, because this war is going to bring what? A famine. All right. The collapse of the dollar bill in this third world war. All right. That is prophesied all throughout the Bible. All right. It says, and the implications are dire. All right. It says we have crossed the Rubicon into dollar suicide. It says the strategic move to close the Strait of Hormuz through military escalation is a direct attack on the petrodollar's remaining vitality. The petrodollar system, the agreement that oil must be sold in dollars, has already been mortally wounded. Yup. It says, as I said in a previous broadcast on June 9, 2024, history was made as Saudi Arabia ended its decades-long agreement with the United States, effectively bringing an end to the petrodollar system. All right, this war will finalize that death. All right, you see? This is why this war was created, man, to bring the death of the dollar bill. All right, to collapse the global economy. All right, to usher in the MOTB. All right, this is the plan of the elites, man. All right, this war will finalize that death. All right, Iran and its allies will not allow energy to flow to nations supporting this invasion. All right, the result will be a gradual, physical severing of the energy trade that underpins dollar demand. All right, this isn't a random escalation. It's a trigger deliberately pulled to ignite hyperinflation, you see? All right, to collapse the West. All right, because, the elites, they don't need America no more. They got what they wanted out of America, and they're ready to pull the plug, all right, from America, man. All right? And now they're ready to bring on this third world war. All right? To usher in the mark of the beast. Because that's part of their agenda. That's why they got the bunkers, right? They got the nuclear bunkers, because they know they're bringing this third world war. All right? Because they think, after they the destruction from the nuclear destruction is over, right? They think they're going to come out their bunkers and rebuild and keep on ruling. Nah, man. They're going straight into chains. All right, because when they're in their bunkers, we're going to come down, Lord willing. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazah, I am of the elect. All right, we're going to come down from the chariots, right? After the indignation is overpassed, right? And then we're going to pull them out of their bunkers. All right? The scriptures say, though my hand dig into hell. All right? Excuse me, no, it says, though they dig into hell, my hand shall take them. All right, roughly paraphrasing that verse. That's in Amos, the 2nd chapter, if I'm not mistaken. No, the 9th chapter, right? It says, this war will finalize that death. Iran and its allies will not allow energy to flow to nations supporting this invasion. All right, the result will be a gradual, physical severing of the energy trade, all right, that underpins dollar demand. All right, this isn't a random escalation, it's a trigger deliberately pulled to ignite hyperinflation. And that's what you don't even have. Is hyperinflation is getting ready. What you have right now is just inflation. Wait till you see hyperinflation, right? It's a trigger deliberately pulled to ignite hyperinflation, all right, and financial chaos in the West. Woo, you see? All right, the global monetary system built on endless debt and trust will be exposed as a fraud when the oil stops flowing. That's right. All right, the global monetary system built on endless debt and trust. Yeah. All right, the elites got all these nations in debt, all these governments in debt, right? That's how they became rich, right? They charge they loan money to these governments or nations, and they charge interest on those loans, right? So these other nations and governments are forever in debt, right? It says the global monetary system built on endless debt and trust will be exposed as a fraud when the oil stops flowing, all right? It says the AI and stock market miracle was a debt-fueled mirage, right? It says, let's be blunt, all right? The so-called AI bubble is a stock valuation bubble inflated by debt and over investment in AI infrastructure that can no longer be sustained. All right, the technology exists, but the trillions in promised investment are pure fiction. All right, reliant on a financial system that is now breaking. All right, as reported by Fortune, a $1 trillion AI market wipeout has already begun because investors banked on a fantasy where almost every tech company would come out a winner. All right, President Trump's boast about Gulf state money flooding into U.S. data centers are now a tragic punchline. All right, those nations are directly embroiled in this war. Their economies are shattered. They will invoke force majeure, all right, and the capital spigot will slam shut. The stock market, dominated by these tech valuations and propped up by phantom promises, all right, is about to experience a wipeout that will make 2008 look orderly. All right, the February 2026 sell-off, where 1 trillion vanished from stocks in days, all right, was merely a preview of coming attractions. Woo! All right, let's keep reading. It says, the bond market is already dead. The funeral is next. All right, the bond market is screaming in agony, and almost everyone is ignoring it. All right, the recent no bid treasury auction was a screaming air raid siren. The Federal Reserve itself had to print money to buy its own debt. All right, a clear admission, all right, that foreign buyers are fleeing. All right, as Finn Hartley reported in Natural News, the U.S. faces a 37 trillion debt crisis as China, Japan, and other nations rapidly sell treasury bonds, eroding dollar trust. Yeah, so right now America's 37 trillion in debt, man. And who do they owe that to? To the elite bankers. How they gonna pay that off? See, nations are constantly in debt, never ending debt, man. That's how you control a nation. All right. It says the petrodollar recycling scheme, all right, where oil producers, all right, took our dollars. The petrodollar recycling scheme, all right, where oil producers took our dollars in loans and loaned them back to us, all right, by buying treasuries, is finished. The Saudis and others are broke, all right. Their economies shattered by the very war we're escalating, all right. This means treasury yields will be forced to skyrocket to levels that will formally bankrupt the U.S. government. The interest payments on the debt will become mathematically impossible to meet. All right, you see? All right, making obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and pensions pure fantasy. Ooh. All right, this whole system is collapsing, man. All right, all you that depend on the government and all that, bro, y'all, listen, man. You put too much trust in Egypt, man. All right, it says the interest payments on the debt will become mathematically impossible to meet. Yeah, that's how you forever become a slave. All right. It says making obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and pensions pure fantasy. All right. Your digital bank is a lie. Force majeure is coming for it. All right. It says what is an asset worth if you cannot retrieve it? Right. Zero. All right. This is the core truth the masses refuse to grasp. We are already seeing the prelude. All right. Withdrawal limits from major funds and banks preparing for liquidity crisis. All right. The next, all right, inevitable step is bail-ins. All right, where your bank deposits are legally seized. All right, converted into bank equity, and you are left with a worthless IOU. Yeah, all your money is taken, man. All right, you're done out here. All right, it says they will declare force majeure. All right, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. All right, they will declare force majeure. All right, a legal clause for unforeseen circumstances that prevent contract fulfillment. Your money in your bank is not yours. Of course, it's not. All right, you are an unsecured creditor. All right, when the bank system breaks, you get nothing. All right, this is not speculation. It's the logical endpoint of a system built on bankism, which Bill Bottery defines as a systemic prioritization of banks' health and profitability over the well-being of the general public and the broader economy. The government's bank-first policies have created this fragility, all right, and the coming war will be the excuse used to legally plunder your accounts. All right, hold on a sec. All right, let's keep reading. It says right here, gold and silver, the only escape from counterparty carnage. All right, let me skip down right here. It says gold is the preserving wealth through the transition. All right, as the BRICS nations accelerate de-dollaration, all right, Russia is trading oil in yuan, all right, and China is mandating gold reserves. Silver currently is 73.15 per ounce and gold at 4,678 per ounce. All right, are tangible metrics of reality, not digital fantasies. All right, instruments like gold backs and physical coins are for the commerce that will emerge in the interim. All right, the actual spending and barter that will keep life moving. All right, when digits are frozen or erased. Andy Sketman, all right, in a recent interview emphasized this point. Gold and silver are essential, as well as land and ammunition. All right, it says, I believe one of the unstated goals of this engineer crisis is to creator the fiat currency, all right, induce a panic of such magnitude that the populace beg for stability. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. He's on point with what he's saying right here, right? I believe one of the unstated goals of this engineer crisis is to create the fiat currency, induce a panic of such magnitude, right? To create chaos, order added chaos, right? Order ab chaos, right? To induce a panic of such magnitude that the populace beg for stability, all right? Which is that what? All right, that's when they're going to bring in what? The RFID microchip, the mark of the beast, all right? In such form of central bank digital currencies, right? And digital IDs. Come on, man. That's the MOTB, right? It says a cage made of ones and zeros, all right? As Bell Carter warned, the shift from the dollar-based financial world to CBDC's focused system is imminent, all right? Come on, man. All right, the RFID microchip, the mark of the beast, is at the door. All right, they have underestimated, the fragility, all right, but they are counting on your compliance. They will blame cyber attacks, terrorism, all right, or the war itself for the collapse they triggered, all right? Your task is not to wait and hope. It is to act, convert paper promises into tangible reality, own what you can hold, all right? Because when the final reckoning comes, all right, the only thing that will matter is what you truly possess. Decentralize your life, your assets, and your knowledge, all right? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, right? Use uncensored platforms like Bright Answers AI, all right, for honest research, and Brighton Social for free speech, all right? Prepare to be self-reliant, all right? This regular war is the trigger. The dollar's final collapse is now in motion, all right? Don't be standing on its way when it steamrolls those who are obvious, those who are oblivious to what is happening, right? And there's many people who are. Most of the world is oblivious to what is happening, what is going on. They have no idea, man, that the mark of the beast is about to be ushered in. People don't know what time they're living in, right? They think that everything's just going to keep on going for the next hundreds and hundreds of years, man, like how it's always been going. You know, have no idea what is going on. Literally zero idea of what is happening and what is going on, man. You know, the mark of the beast, the RFID chip is at the door, which means what? Nuclear missiles flying off is also at the door. Right? All this is happening at the same time. Things are moving fast and quick. Right? So, you know, Lord willing, I just wanted to read this article, this news, man. All right, this war is creating this financial collapse, man, to usher in the mark of the beast. This is why this war was created. All right, it's that time. The elites are getting ready to usher in the mark of the beast. This is it, man. From here on out, it's not getting better. It's not getting better, man. All right. So you elect have to come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai now. All right, we're warning you, man, that hell is at the door. Hell, chaos, misery, death, suffering, mourning, anguish is at the door. All right? Straight up. Come back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right? Those are the names you ask and beg for mercy, compassion, salvation, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You know? So, Lord willing, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Raptazah, this is or was edifying. All right, to let you know, reading this article, to let you know what's happening, what's going on, to let you know what time we're living in, man. All right, so with that being said, call Halalyam, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah Quick Dash. All right, until the next one, Shalom, Shalom.